Hello, this is an announcement, I guess, of a project that I'm going to be undertaking from this week into the foreseeable future to teach or make educational material available explaining the curriculum of the two styles of Budo that am familiar with, which is the Daito Ryu Aiki Jujutsu, or a version of it, and the Ono-Ha-Itto Ryu Sokaku Den. I came to Japan in 1994, I guess, and I found my teacher. I met my teacher, Okabayashi Ryoichi Sensei, in 1995, May 30th. And I trained and studied with him up until his passing in February of 2018. He graded me to a 5th dan level and a Menkyo of sorts in the Ono-Ha-Itto Ryu license. Some kind. I'm not the highest ranked person, but I feel some obligation to make some record of the things that I learned in that long period. I studied with my sensei like at a variety of dojos around the Kansai area, Kyoto, Osaka, Ashiya. Most nights for, I don't know, 10 years or so, and then later for 2 or 3 times a week, I guess. In 2010, he sent me to Uzbekistan, to Tashkent City, to open a dojo there, where I was away for a year. And then I came back to Kyoto in 2011. 2010, actually, end of 2010. And I ran a couple of like affiliate side dojos for him, one in Kusatsu, in Shiga, and in Kyoto City, which is where I live. After his passing, I've also taken up teaching one of his branch dojos that he used to teach at in Senri Chuo. I am starting this project mostly because the world's going to hell in a handbasket, it seems, and I am uncertain what will or will not survive into the future. It seems everything is in flux, and I would like a record of the things which I learned, which are, in my opinion, extremely important. You know, if they're important to you, that's a bonus, I guess. Since the coronavirus hit, my work has been cut in half, and the dojo has also been somewhat reduced as people's financial situation gets much tighter. So I'm reduced to like living on about $700 a month. So I have time. I was given a camera recently, and somebody asked me on the internet if I would be interested in sharing what I know. And so it seems a good time to make a record. I was reading some things on the internet last year or the year before. Actually, the reason I started my blog was because I was reading some stuff, and some minor detail that somebody recorded of Tokimune Soke, my sensei's teacher, writing the details of the Kujikiri, which is a kind of Taoist, Shinto, Buddhist, syncretic kind of good luck ritual almost, ceremony of a sort. And my sensei had taught that to me on a train, but he taught it like while we were traveling between dojos, like over the course of 40 minutes or something. It clearly wasn't a thing that was important to him, but it was part of the tradition, and he taught it to me. And it was only when I saw casually Soke's notebook on some other website that I remembered that, and realized that that detail had almost slipped through the cracks, that there was a kind of almost a Buddhist magico-religious practice that had been part of the tradition for a long time. Whether that's important to you or to me or not, it was still part of the tradition. And details like that disappear, they slip through the cracks, and I don't know which ones are important or not. So I would like to make a record of what I do know, and hope it's useful to anybody else. I'm going to have a Patreon page, so if anybody is interested in this and wishes to donate any money to ongoing costs, I will be very grateful. As I said, I was given a camera by one of my students, Mrs. Hoshi, who upgraded her camera and gave me her old one, which is a film camera, not a film camera, it's a digital camera, but it's for taking photographs. It does have a video setting, which is what I am using now. And so I'm very grateful to her, but it doesn't have a microphone or anything. So, and I don't have lights, and I live in a tiny, like, 3 meter by 2 meter room without a bathroom. So production values are minimal, shall we say. Hopefully the information value will make up for it at the beginning, and if anybody supports this, then I'll try to increase the production values. Even if nobody is interested, I'm going to try to record the core of what I learned. Perhaps not all of the kata. There's a million kata in the Daito Ryu, and the Itto Ryu is also very extensive. But as much as I think is important for a core that somebody could use to develop the kind of body that the Daito Ryu and Itto Ryu fostered. You know. A bit of brief history, I guess. So just to further outline the scope of the project. So I learned the Daito Ryu and Itto Ryu from Okabashi Ryoichi. He was a senior student, a 6th dan and a Kyoju Dairi student of Takeda Tokimune, who was the 36th Soke of the Daito Ryu by their own reckoning. And he learned from his father, Takeda Sokaku, who was the 34th Soke of the line, again according to his own reckoning. So historians dispute that. But I asked my sensei about it, and he said he's not going to call his own teacher and his teacher's father a liar, so he just accepted it as part of the tradition. The 35th Soke, by the way, was Sokaku's senior and probably most famous student, I would guess, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Anyway, another student who, during the war years, was an interim master and then gave the title back to Tokimune Soke when he came back from the war. In this tradition, the Itto Ryu version that I was taught is the one that came through Toma Shibuya, who was an Aizuhan master. And Sokaku was a Hanshi instructor at his dojo and learned that. Sokaku learned other schools as well, notably the Jiki Shinkage Ryu, I think. But the style he chose to pass on mostly was the Ono-Ha-Itto Ryu. And it's notable that most of his students, even if they didn't, and his students, even if they didn't directly learn the Itto Ryu from him, for one reason or another, timing or whatever, they went and learned other Itto Ryu styles, the Hokushin Itto Ryu or the Koga Itto Ryu or something. And so there is something about the Itto Ryu which is considered important in some way by an overwhelming majority of Daito Ryu masters of various kinds, including ones who don't like each other. So there's something in it that's important, I think. The version I got is the one that came through Takeda Sokaku, through his son Tokimune, and through my sensei Okabashi Ryoichi. I have, of course, my own version of it. There is a misunderstanding, I think, that these things exist separate to bodies, but they don't. They don't exist in some timeless fashion. They are recreated in each generation by a body and mind, with its own flavors and limits and geniuses and so on. And so the version that I am presenting is the version that I have created in my body from what my sensei created in his body, and so on back. Through the Daito Ryu line and then back to the Ono-Ha-Itto Ryu, Ono family line. And that will be the same for you too. The responsibility is on a student to let the form teach you and let whatever that is grow in you and become something real in your body and mind. It's not an academic abstract thing that is separate from the body and mind. In fact, I would argue that everything that anybody has ever said about Aiki or the Daito Ryu or the Ono-Ha-Itto Ryu is wrong, not because it's not important that they try and explain themselves or articulate things, but because the act of articulation is the act of removing a thing from its natural context, which is the body and the mind, and trying to change it into a verbal construct. And that will always be a reduction and will always lose things in translation and so on. A visual record, which is what I am attempting, is also incomplete. It lacks the physicality and the presence and the mysterious and the unconscious and all of that, which, when you train with people who are really good, there is aspects to what, of any school, and not just Budo, I mean chefs and whatnot. There is something which is passed on which is not reducible to words, and that's definitely true of the martial arts. But a visual record is as good as we can do in the current times. So, with that said, let me greet anybody who happens to be watching this, and I hope whatever is produced is of value. And from tomorrow, I hope I will start to put out videos as regularly as I can onto YouTube. Starting with the Kasumi no kata, which is a traveling kata that my own sensei put together from specific things his sensei taught him, which were kind of outside the formal kata, like oral teachings of various kinds. It's a very good kata. It can be done solo, and therefore if you don't have a partner to practice with, it's good. A lot of the rest of the Itto Ryu and the Daito Ryu is traditional in the sense that it was always done with a partner. It was never done solo. You needed a body to feel success or failure at your technique. But we don't always have that luxury, so we will do the best we can. Good luck if you wish to study with this, and I hope it comes to a successful conclusion at some point in the future, with all of us happy and healthy, and not too reduced circumstances, perhaps. Good luck.